So what I'm working on today is a pulse sensor that I can use for doing tests on your exhaust pulse and your intake pulse to see if you got any valves that are bad in your engine. I'm making out of an Noxzema container, and I've just started. So basically what I'm doing is putting foam in the bottom. I got out of some of my AR-15 ammo cases that come with it for protection, and I'm running a large straw piece to the center and gluing foam in with the spray adhesive to it, and then I'm going to glue this to the top with some Permatex glue, and then I will put the sensor when I get the piezo sensor in the center here, and that way when I need to check intake valves and that, I'll do a further follow-up video on this. I'll be able to have a nice insulated insulated sensor with that whatever hose I want to put on. Like I got some adapters, I'll show that too, that are going to go in here to adapt a 3/16 hose, 1/4 inch, 3/8, whatever I need to use it for. You know, usually the bigger ones usually for the exhaust and whatnot, but and smaller ones than the intake. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'll put this thing together and I'll do some more video on it. All right. Well, I finished my pulse sensor, VA sensor volume. I got it glued to the bottom. I foam insulated the bottom of this cup with the same foam insulation that's on the bottom. To keep the wires, if they vibrate while running, it'll lessen the vibration that goes through this plastic, is my theory. To cut down any vibration, the signal will be clear. The pickle symbol sensor is in the bottom. It's glued in around. There's a hole in the bottom to give it a little flexibility. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but that's what I did. Overglued the hell out of this. Put a bunch of plastic glue on it, so it's pretty well air sealed tight. I've also put foam on the inside here. And it looks like it's going to work out okay. We will test it to see if how it works, and I'll be doing up next once I'm sure it's completely dry. Got a 5/16 hose here, and we will hook it up to a little U-scope and try to do a cranking test first in the flood mode, crank it, and then we'll do it actually running out of the exhaust and see. I'll probably just do exhaust this time, not intake, because then I, open the hood and pull the intake and do some things. So just stand by and we'll show some more. Okay, one last add-on before we actually test it here later today. Put a bungee around it, small bungee, and use ties on it and some tape to keep vibration down. My theory is any vibration that's in this when it's being hung, suspended, if these plastic were to rattle together, or the other bungee when I attach it from under the hood or whatever, by putting the black thick tape on it, duct tape, it keeps from vibrating, keeps noise and rattle that will be picked up by the oscilloscope down. Wires come out the foam, and I even use a small piece of foam insulation where I slide the wires on each end, keep the wires from rattling together, which will then keep interference and noise down, because the little U-scope doesn't have a way of filtering that out very well. So I've got everything here. Once the wife gets home, we will test this later, and I'll give you a video and let's see how it works. All right, back on again, and we've got the scope. We're gonna do a test before we actually do the test. Setting everything up here for this. I noticed I gotta change the position. So what I've done here is I'm moving my 0 up to the middle line, so I get a better capture down here where it's gonna show on this, because I've got it set for 0.1 volts, 500 milliseconds on scan. With this one, this way I've got to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the cup without the top on it. As you can see, the interference I was talking about, just from even with this stuff, just moving the wires a little bit. So what we got to do is we got to be careful. I'm going to put this up to my mouth, and I'm going to blow into it, and you guys can, first I'm going to stabilize it, and we're going to watch the pattern change without me talking into the thing here. All right, now, here we go. Okay, hyperventilating, but basically that is that right there, that signal you see coming down right there that you just saw, that was interference from you'll get with the lines banging. That's why I did the insulation on here and all the other things. So what we'll do next is once the wife gets here to assist me, we'll go out and we'll check it on the exhaust, like I said, and it looks like it's going to work just fine. Set up, and it'll what you're looking for is one of these things is not like the other. So one of the patterns will be out, showing if you have a bad exhaust valve or whatever, because we're checking the exhaust. And we'll go from that once we get out there, and we'll do a cranking and a running test. A flood test and crank it, and then we'll actually run the car and let you see the difference in the two patterns. Thanks. All right, well, we're set up out here. I got the meter set up. I got my sensor on the ground because I thought, well, I could suspend it, like I made that hanger to do it. But on the back of the Jeep, it's probably better to just take and have it sitting on the ground. There'll be less, I believe there'll be less vibration from it. So we're gonna go ahead and crank now for 10 seconds. Go ahead, Ronnie, start cranking. Okay. All right, it's not bad. We'll analyze that later. It looks pretty good from that quick thing that I could see. And now, she's gonna reset, and I'm gonna get out of the way of the tailpipe because it's gonna, so we're gonna start it up and show you the pattern with it at that. All right, go ahead and start her up.
Is it okay if I push the brake?
Yeah. Sure what I can tell from this yet. I'll have to look at this later on the computer, but the other things looked all even. They all look pretty even on the other ones, so we'll just go with that and see what we get. I'm not nowhere near an expert. I've just been learning this myself, so everything looks consistent though, but there's few spikes that go down. I'm not sure they are pretty consistent. As an expert out there, maybe tell me maybe my sensor's not very good or whatever, but all in all, you can tell that they're relatively consistent on this one. Picoscope would do a lot better, I think, for this particular analysis. But anyway, I think on the cranking test it did really well, though. I could tell from the cranking test there was no problem with the exhaust valves. So there we have it. Homemade sensor. It seems to work halfway decent, so there we have it.